everybody, it's me Chaz Large back with another Fix It video for you, and on the bench today we have an HP laptop. This is a model number TPN-Q, oh sorry no it isn't, it's an HQ TRE 71025. Doesn't mean a lot to me. It's presumably an HP laptop made by HP, and it's got a big screen. It's a Core i5 processor, and the fault is it don't work, it don't power on. So first thing to check, the customer has actually done a bit of diagnostics themselves. So there's a bit of a do-it-yourself repairer, and they've tried another power supply, and they even removed the battery in the hope that that may fix it. So basically it didn't, and they said, I'm going to throw it away. No, don't throw it away. Let's see what we can do, see if we can get this working for you. So first little thing I want to check, as I always do with the power supply, is just basically see that it's giving out a voltage, which should be 20 odd volts, I believe. So not quite. No. 19.5 volts. Lovely. That's what we like to see. 19.5 volts. Right. Next thing to check, let's turn the meter off before it beeps at us, is to plug it in and see if we get any indicators. Power connector. Oh, there's the power connector. And now on the side there is a little LED, which hopefully if we plug this in will indicate. Oh, I just realised, let's have a look on the overhead. The actual pin is bent. How about that? It's slightly bent. Anyway, let's go back to here so we can see if we get any little light come on when we plug it in the side. And yes, there's a little light that's just appeared, which you probably can't see on camera. Let's turn it to overhead and have a look. Yeah, you can just about make out there's a little light on there. There you are. I'll get the shade in right so you can see there's a light. So far so good. That means the power's getting into it. Let's see what happens when we press power. Now it's got an SSD, so I was listening really for the fan starting up rather more than anything. Can't hear any fan. Nothing appearing on the screen. Quick little torch visit, see if that shows anything through it. Nothing. So power doesn't seem to be getting any further than there, so we need to delve inside and have a little look, see what's going on, see if we can find out why there's no power getting through to the rest of the unit. Now we've never opened one of these before, but I'm guessing, right, so we've got some screws which are still partially undone. They look like they are Phillips head screws. So 3 screws. Now does the bottom come away from the top? Judging by the fact that there is a score mark here where somebody has put a pry tool of some kind into there, I'm guessing that's the bottom comes away. So let's get the pry tool in the same position, so if there's any more damage we can blame it on the customer. Just seen a little clue here. There's one of the feet has been pushed away, so there are 2 screws hidden underneath the feet. Should really have checked that, I suppose. So Let's undo the other one. So that should now happily lift off. There it is. Wonderful. Quick little look. Any damage on there? Not that I can see any damage, so we'll pop that to one side. Heatsink is to there. There. So power socket is here. Here'll be the power socket, which to all intents and purposes looks like it should go down here. Okay, so that looks like display. So yeah, so the battery goes in here, part of the power regulator circuit there, choke, the ribbon cable connector, which, ooh, that's a bit ugly the way that that's drive is connected. I don't think that goes in there, to be honest. I'll take the SSD out. God, horrible, look at the way that's bent and twisted there. So well, just looking at this socket, seems to be underneath. A screw which spins and spins and spins. I'm sure that shouldn't do that. So does that mean that this, where it goes, I'll get it, it's broken underneath, probably, means where the, yeah, this has probably been lifted up or forced up. Hold that bit of plastic together there while we unscrew. Okay, over there. So the fact that we are getting, see that little indicator that we saw down there is connected to the socket which is under this. That's been broken, so has this been dropped on this corner and damaged this, so it's only getting as far as that and nowhere else. So we really need to take this out, don't we? Yeah. So over this side we've got 2 screws on the bracket. On this side, wow, yes, there is another screw there. So I think what we'll do, I think we'll disconnect the screen. I'm going to keep hitting the camera. So we'll disconnect the screen. Just lift that off gently. Now is that the power? Yeah, that looks like that's the power connector. So that looks like that's where the power's coming in. Okay, so maybe we don't need to take the screen off, but that screw mount there is definitely busted. We'll deal with that later. Let's just put the screen back on for now. Screen connector under that. So we should now we've identified that, we should now be able to see power on there and see if it's actually coming in anywhere. We put the mains adapter in. Right. So now we should be able to see if I put negative on here and positive on these 2 pins, we should see 20 volts. Well, 19.5 anyway. So that then should be going to some form of regulator, and we've got some big chokes over here. I think all the regulator circuits on the other side of the board. So I think a further strip down of the motherboard is what we need to do to get into here. So let's power that off. Have a little look first and see what we need to do to take it out. So we're going to take this motherboard out. What we need to do is to disconnect the screen, disconnect the power input. We've disconnected the drive, that's the keyboard and touchpad. We've got the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth there. We've got 2 connectors there for other things. The fan. Right, okay, so let's start disconnecting sockets. So that's going back. Usually half always, but I'll carry on. This is what I'm going to do. Also, you need to wear some screws. You can do that. Make sure you keep separate for a plan. Where's this? Separate on this side. You can do the long ones on the right. Or short ones on the left. Looks like all of them. I tend to do a lift. Something different here. Flip or something to the way. Or just on the little just chassis. So, use a C-split. So, let's do screws. Maybe it's just so this is into chassis. Push in there. Very good. Cool. Right. Never mind. We have another ribbon cable over here, of course. Look. How can you miss that one? There we go. So there is the motherboard. Alright, so as that's the power connector, let's see if I can get this into a position where you can see what I can see. We can see it together. So there's the power connector. Focus to there. I'll try and hold it in the same level, otherwise it'll go in and out of focus. So there's the power connector there, and it goes to through connectors to that. There's the power circuit underneath. Oh, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Right, it's another day, and I've had to abandon my view of the underside of this circuit board. It was just too difficult to try and work on this, looking at this side, getting a meter on it, looking at that side, getting the camera in the right place. So I've got to put this to one side for a minute and do something else. And then lo and behold, something that I bought on eBay turned up, and it's one of these. It's a little USB microscope. Now, I bought it for second hand. It didn't say it wasn't working, but guess what? It wasn't working. Basically, the LEDs didn't turn on. They do now. Okay, and the fault was that the switch on there was faulty, so I managed to repair that. So, having fixed the LEDs, we can now use this to inspect the board a little bit closer, which is magic for me because my eyesight is awful. But as you'll see, it's actually quite good. For a little cheap little camera, it's actually quite good. And so therefore we can actually see quite well the actual bits and pieces on the circuit board. Now, I'm hand holding it at the moment, so therefore it's not going to be absolutely brilliant. So I will make a little stand for it. I know you can get them, but I've got spare bits and pieces. I'm sure I can make them. Anyway, I did have a look, visual inspection the other day with a loop, an eye loop, and I was most interested in this little chip here, which had what appeared to be a hole in it, but it turns out that it's a letter M, presumably from the manufacturer. So consequently it wasn't anything to do with that. We've got a big diode here that wasn't short circuit. Capacitors there, they were both all okay. There's a choke there, that was okay. Basically all the board, all the components, the main components around the power supply section all seemed to be checking okay, and continuity wise was checked out as well. So I had to go back to the drawing board, and basically what I think may well be the problem is what I discovered when I had a look at the top part of the board, because what my thinking was, this all circuitry is all working, perhaps it's just not being switched on. And you've probably seen a few other videos out there where people have found faults with the actual switches, the power switch on a computer. So I had a little look on the top of the board. So let's get this on here. Let's move the main circuit board over there somewhere safe, and we'll have a look on here. Bring the camera over here, and I'm not 100% sure this is going to be the the cure. The power switch on this board is, let me just turn it over and show you. Well, you can probably remember from when I started this video. It's just here. Okay, so it's a little switch here, and it clicks to, so it sounds it's okay. So I had a look at this a little bit earlier on, before I started recording again for the second time, just to have a double check of this switch. And this switch is on this little circuit board here, and I was going to start to take this apart, and as I was going around it, I briefly brushed this ribbon cable, and look, the ribbon cable is not held in place in this little clip, and the clip is opening and closing, so I'm only assuming that this clip is at fault, this little connector, because if that's not being held down there, or this is not being pushed in there properly, it should go in there, and that should hold it down, and that should hold it in place, and it doesn't appear to be doing so. That's very, very loose, and the ribbon cable can move in and out. So I'm just wondering whether that is the fault. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of Kapton tape on there, and hopefully then be able to check the continuity of the connections, just to see if that connector is making connection. Somebody sent me a text or something. Alright, let's get a bit of Kapton tape on here. Push that back in again. I have to just peel that back a little bit from this bit here, so I can check the continuity. So let's bring the old zoom into action a little bit. And another little focus. So now we should be able to check continuity between this part of the ribbon cable here and this end of the connector here. So switch the old meter on into beat mode. Check. So we don't need to see the meter, we can just go by the audio side of things. So let's put that onto that first ribbon connection. So that's there, should be that one. Oh, it's that one. Back to front. That one's okay. Okay, I think we've got a good connection. That one maybe not. Oh yeah, that one we have, yeah. Press it down. No, that doesn't seem to want to make. And that one should be the end one. Let's just double check. Yeah, that's definitely working. And that one isn't. So, methinks that this connector here is the root cause of the problem. Fingers crossed, of course. Let's peel that captain tape off for a minute. I just want to double check that the actual ribbon cable is actually okay. Let's just grab a bit of that captain tape again. Roll that down there. Meter back to beat mode. That one to there, and it was these ones at the end that wasn't. Right. So the ribbon cable is okay. First three, we've already tested those. So the problem we have is repairing or replacing this little edge connector on here. That's obviously been broken in some way, and that's what's stopping it from working. Now, if you remember, there was, still is, a broken screw mount here. This screw mount broken off the chassis. I suspect this has had a nasty fall somewhere, and that's what's probably shunted something around. I don't know, I can only guess. So let us see if we can take this circuit board off here. And that one thankfully lives out of the way. Wonderful. And we've got this one. That screwdriver's a little bit too big for that, so let's go back for this one. Nice big flat driver. So sometimes they fold out and flip in, but that is definitely no good. That's definitely not holding it on. Now I can do one of two things. I can either replace this ribbon cable with wires and solder it straight on, or I can see if I can get some other form of connector, perhaps from a scrap unit, and I've got a few scrap bits and pieces that I may be able to take that from. So I think that's worth having a look at. Secondly, I've got obviously a model number and a circuit board, and may be that this board itself is available as a replacement part, in which case that would do the job. But the actual switch itself, interestingly enough, is something I was just going to have a little look at. Is nothing more than this, can't quite get it over there, that little rubber pushes up on there and makes contact between well, there it is. Yeah, just on that edge there, there's a tiny little switch there. Yep, switch seems to be okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the rest of this to one side. circuit board over there. Close it up gently. Let's see if I can find something. But I think I will just double check that this switch is working with a quick little continuity test. This is where I need three hands, but having used chopsticks once or twice, it comes in handy. Switch it on to beep mode. Alright, it is on beep. Yeah, so the switch is okay. So we're looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-way ribbon socket. Hopefully we can delve into something and find a equivalent sort of socket on a circuit board somewhere. Back in a bit. Right, well, I've looked on various circuit boards I've got and I cannot find an equivalent to this socket, this clip down socket. Okay, let's have a quick little look at it under the old magnifying lens. It's almost like is that upside down? Has that come off and then been put on upside down, I wonder? I think it has. I think somebody else may well have been here before. I can see now. You can now look really carefully at it. You can actually see this edge here is still there, but this edge here is broken off. So I'm wondering if, and that's back to, that was on upside down. Let's see if we can get that back in there. And hold that in place with a bit of Captain tape. I think I'll get a bit of fresh. Let's make it slightly narrower. Let's just remove that motherboard again for a minute. that under there and put that big screw back. Right, so let's go back to our continuity test. That one should go to there. Let's try this one because that's the one that wasn't. Yeah. They're all making connection now. They are all making connection. Right, and we can see that this board is easy enough to take out if necessary, if that doesn't hold. So let's do a reassembly job with the motherboard. Just quickly put that back in there. Right, got the main chassis screws back. Just going to put the two little screws in this side panel here. Another firm press. Right, let's start reattaching some ribbon cables. Now this one, interesting if you've not seen one of these before. If you look at the edge of the blue area, here you can just see there's like a little hook. So this one you have to push in so that those little hooks hook behind those lugs before you clip it down. It's not just one you can shove in afterwards. Same goes for the video cable over here. Gently lift that up. Again, you can see the two little lugs either side, so I'll line that up. Gently push it, don't ever force them. Pop that in, and then we should be able to just ease the power one back in because it's in roughly the right place already. Okay, let's take the graphics cable out first. Lesson learned, do the one underneath first. Give yourself more room. Oh, that's really been a bit of a pig. That's the power cable, make sure it's in good and firm. If it's in partially, it will work and then it will start arcing. It may only be 20 volts coming in, but it's 20 volts at quite a bit of whack. Right, and then the two antenna. Right, one is white, one is black. Over here. God, these connectors get so much smaller. So much more difficult to see. Come on. There we are, that's one. Two. Right, and we've got a ribbon connector there, but oh, that's the hard drive. We'll leave that out. That's hard drive, solid state drive. We'll leave that out for now. I'll just double check that everything else is in. Give that another press down to make sure it stays there, and we'll zoom out. And we will turn it over. Good old camera, and we'll get the power cord. Plug that in. We still have a light, and we have light on the power button, and we should have, hopefully, yay, post, it's posting, we fixed it. Let's turn it off, there it is. Oh. So it would seem that whilst it gave all the appearances of it being a fault with the motherboard, what it turned out to be was this ribbon connector here on this little board. The actual connector had broken. Now whether somebody had broken it in their efforts to do something else with it, I don't know. Could be that they tried to take it out, ripped it out and didn't realise there was a connector, but that seems to be held in place firmly there now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another bit of Kapton tape over the top of that, because I think the customer would like to have this back working whilst I source a spare part for it. So if I can get that pressed down onto the main board there, and then press that down onto there as well. I would constitute that as a temporary fix. The customer may well be happy and doesn't want to wait for spare parts, in which case they have to run the risk of that coming apart again. But there's obviously somebody who's been into this, because the battery had been removed before I got it. So next little step is to put the battery back. Screw out for a minute. Wonderful glue, this E800. What I like about it is the fact it's got a little tip in it and a pin, so it never dries out. It takes a long while to dry, but when it's dried it's usually super strong. I'll just put a little bit over the top of it as well. So best it's going to give it some anchoring. My guess is the customer wouldn't want to change the battery just for a broken tab, but he can blame whoever it was that had a go at it for breaking that tab off. Hold that in place while we screw the screw down. Then we'll pop the solid state drive back in. Slots under and drops down. Again, it's got little tabs on this ribbon, little tabs on the side, you can see that you have to put into place. So put the tip in, slide it in until it drops down. If necessary, just with the tip of a screwdriver or tweezers, just make sure it's sat in there first. That just holds it in place. Crappy bit of wiring on that, but there we are. Don't know how that managed to get like that, but there we are. So one other check. We shall open it up. It might have some power in the battery. Yes, we've got power in the battery. It might throw a little wobbly. Right, CMOS reset 502. Enter to reboot the system. A bit of a power cycle there. HP please wait, that looks a bit better. Spinny logo at the bottom. Looks like Windows hasn't loaded correctly. Let's try restarting once more. Touchpad works. The customer was happy for me to do a complete restore. No, don't need to. There it is. Alright, so I think it's yeah. Lovely jubbly. Let's just see what it's running. Winver 1909. Cool, blimey. That do need updating, don't it? Let's do a shutdown. Right. So there we are, one fully repaired HP laptop, and very pleased am I with that little repair, albeit a temporary one. We will get see if we can get that part ordered for the customer, but in the meantime the customer's going to be happy because they got their laptop back, and they can carry on and use it. And if we get the part, you know, it's going to be a quick 10-minute, take the bottom off, change the board, put the bottom back on, and away it should go. But that was all that was wrong with it, was just the power button was not making power connection. Always wise to sort of check that first, I suppose, these days, because that's more than one I've had with a power button failure. Not one of these, but there we are. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will keep trying to put some more on as and when I get some stuff that's really interesting. I've had some really diabolical stuff that's just not been worth in video, and I've got quite a few that I am waiting on spare parts for. So as and when I get the spare parts in there, then I can finish those videos. I talk too much. Cheerio for now. Thanks again. Bye bye.